And we are live. Welcome to the newest episode of Ask Me About My Draculas. If you're unfamiliar with the show, we explain supernatural books, movies, and TV shows, and we have all the answers for your Dracula-related needs. I am one of your hosts, Kel McDonald, and I make comics that you can find at kelmcdonald.com.
And I'm Maat Crook. You can find me on Twitter at Maat Crook.
And I'm Alex. I make comics. You can find me on Twitter at randomcomics.
And so Alex is our guest this week, and we are going to tell Alex all about Blade. So, but we're just going to talk about the movies because Maat and I haven't read that much of the comics. Alex, what do you think Blade is about?
I'm gonna take a guess and say it's probably about a lady who hunts vampires, but she's also a vampire herself. And I'm probably getting it confused with some other series that exists.
That is an anime.
Oh.
There's an anime called Blade?
I don't know. You said I don't know. My vampire knowledge.
Vampires named Blade running around.
Mm-hmm.
Blade Runner was a science fiction movie. I don't think there were any vampires.
There are no vampires in Blade Runner as far as we know.
There are now. But yeah, I'm just guessing it's lady vampire hunting vampire.
You were thinking of Blade the Immortal.
Oh. Well, I got one thing right. Just not the right Blade.
No, you did fine.
Yeah, my knowledge of vampires is basically, I read Twilight, I read Anne Rice books. That's it. I'm pitiful. Right, what is Blade really about?
So we're just gonna stick to the movies.
And I did watch one TV premiere.
All right, so it's all Blade of the screen, not of the page. So we don't know how well that they stick to the comics in the movies. But the movies star Wesley Snipes as Blade, a half-vampire hunter.
Is Dracula his dad? I don't know why I keep jumping.
Dracula does come in, but not until the third movie.
So Dracula is not his dad as far as we know. And because vampires don't... I don't think... Vampires can be born vampires,
right?
In this world, and it seems like it's an all or nothing thing. So the way to make Blade super special and be the only half vampire is what happened is his mom was turned into a vampire while she was in the middle of giving birth.
She was 9 months pregnant, and she got bit by a vampire. It is revealed which vampire.
Immediately gives birth, which is why he didn't become a full-out vampire.
Right.
That.
So.
I'm sure it makes perfect sense in the movie, but in my tiny little head, well, anyway.
So apparently, even as a child, he started getting, they say several times, all the benefits of being a vampire with none of the weaknesses.
So he's super strong, and super
has fangs
and whatnot, and he has fangs, but he can go out in the sunlight, so all the vampires call him Daywalker.
I'd like to know which fanfiction.net story they pulled this off of.
If this is a pretty old comic.
I think it was made during blaxploitation era.
I'm gonna go with it was actually pulled off of fanfiction.net because that's immediately what I'm thinking of with Daywalker.
I think probably the fanfiction got it from Blade.
And so all of fanfiction is a Blade ripoff.
Yeah.
I knew it.
All of it. All of it.
Every single story there.
Yeah.
So
Chris Christopherson is also in the movie.
Yeah.
And he's a guy named Whistler who found Blade when he was running around killing homeless people as a young tween or teenager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has to. He still has to eat people.
Oh.
Although when
Him like fake blood or whatever to try.
yeah, some serum thing. It's blue. They never really say what's in it.
Yeah, it's just like, this is fake blood.
It's actually blue raspberry flavored.
Yes.
That's really like all he needed.
Just like every 90s kid.
I think they probably made it bright blue to be 100% certain you knew it wasn't blood.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was also going to say, he must be a Republican because of his preying on the homeless and poor.
Oh, interesting. A young Republican.
Just like every tweet in the blaxploitation era. I don't
And so the vampires they are can be killed with a stake. Mostly Blade kills them with silver stakes.
Yeah. And
So
he
the
has
stakes
like
are
a
high.
special silver sword that he runs around and kills people with.
Yeah, a
So
samurai sword.
the stakes are pretty high. They're high priced.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
mostly uses a sword.
And garlic is another thing that vampires don't like, and UV light.
Yeah. So
Okay,
there's a
UV
pretty
light doesn't
cool
make sense.
scene where he tortures a vampire with a UV light just by like turning it on and off.
That's really adorable and also really terrible.
Yeah.
Um,
It actually was a pretty terrible scene. I mean, just because it just seemed like it was making fun of people who are overweight.
yeah, because it's an overweight vampire that like can't move.
Yeah.
Wow.
Um,
That doesn't inspire me to watch this.
Well, everything's problematic on some level. Although I always hope for something that isn't problematic, or as little as possible.
so the movie starts with like some vampires attack a hospital is where he meets the main lady,
Okay.
who's his sort of love interest. Yep.
Her name is Dr. Karen Jensen, something like that.
Yeah. And so she gets bit by a vampire, and it's like she's slowly turning into a vampire. But because she's a doctor, she takes like the serum that like Blade and Whistler have jerry-rigged together, and is like, I can make this more efficient. And that's going to like slowly prevent her from being a vampire somehow.
And eventually cure her, but it's not going to be a cure for Blade.
Yeah.
That's because he was born with it. Maybe he was born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline. It was not Maybelline.
So they get her and they have to explain everything, and because she's a doctor and actually knows things about science, she makes a better serum for him.
Yeah.
Science.
Rather than like two homeless guys living in a warehouse.
And like you were saying, it's expensive to make all those stakes, those silver stakes. The way they explain how they make their money
is they steal all the money from vampires they kill.
Yeah.
Oh, so they're like a terrible Robin.
Yes.
Murder the rich, also murder the poor, murder everyone.
Yeah.
He stopped murdering the poor so he could murder the rich.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
He does still kill humans, but they're only familiars, the pets of vampires.
Yeah, so there's all these guys that like only
So is it basically male vampires with female familiars? Does that
No,
make sense?
there's
No.
a lot of basically like whenever they need stuff done in the day, they have like a human for that.
Of any gender, and the vampires are all of all sorts of genders too, and ethnicities.
Yeah. And so the bad guy is this young upstart vampire that's mad that there's some classism going on in the vampire world where vampires who are born vampires think they're better than people who got bit and turned into vampires.
And that's played by Steven Dorff.
So Steven Dorff plays Deacon Frost, who is sick of all these born vampire guys shit, and he's gonna like do some weirdo ritual that will let him become a vampire god, and like so you can fuck all them over.
Yeah.
I like him. He's the only one making. I don't like Blade so much. Deacon Frost sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds like a badass with some good ideas. Even the whole become a vampire god thing. That still sounds good.
And one of his henchmen is the actor who is playing Harvey Bullock in Gotham now.
Yeah, I don't watch Gotham, so that doesn't help me.
Well, for anyone listening,
Yeah.
Harvey Bullock is a vampire henchman in Blade.
So Blade finds out about Deacon Frost's plan.
And it's like, you gotta, stop the apocalypse and all that.
Yeah.
The
And Deacon needs Blade for the ritual. Blade is a integral part of the ritual, so he kidnaps the doctor. And then Blade gets really mad, and he spends a montage making some bullets, meditating, and trashing his meditation room.
Which is not, he's not good at meditating.
No.
And yeah, so it's basically the reason why the bad guy, like, didn't become a vampire god earlier. He found out that he needs someone that's half vampire to complete it.
Yeah.
So we start fighting some pregnant ladies.
So did Deacon turn his mom into a vampire?
Yes, Deacon is Blade's vampire dad, even though he's not his genetic dad.
Blade, he basically engineered Blade existing so he could do this ritual.
Okay. And he has to wait till Blade's fully grown.
I don't know. I guess he just lost him.
I spent all this time making my half-vampire baby so that I could do this cool thing that I really want to do. Oh, I lost him. I don't know where he went. I'm not even gonna bother looking for him using vampire power.
I wonder if it was just a happy accident because Deacon didn't have the translation of the whole ritual until just a few days before he kidnapped the doctor.
So why didn't he just use Google Translate?
Because it's ancient vampire language that no one knows about.
Okay, so because I'm thinking here, because what I know about vampires comes from Anne Rice, which is and Twilight, which is
yeah.
But to the best of my knowledge, vampires know all of the language. So if it was in like Latin or something, I'd be like,
Well, see, this is where the classism comes in. Is all the born vampires just wouldn't tell him?
Yes.
Why not kidnap them?
Weird glyphs. They use some weird glyphs that no one's that are so old that they couldn't be translated.
Except by this very fat vampire that later gets tortured.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So when Blade heads to Deacon's place, he meets his mom, who then proceeds to put him in this Iron Maiden thing that will make him bleed.
It also plays some sweet music.
Yeah. It like closes and cuts his wrists and makes him bleed, and that blood flows down this elaborate contraption that eventually drops blood on the forehead of the captured born vampires that Deacon has waiting underneath.
Because he's going to sacrifice basically the head of every vampire family to complete this ritual.
which
I
then
still
makes
like
this,
Deacon.
yeah, makes this electricity happen, and then out of all the head vampires, their skeletons just erupt out of their bodies, but they have wings, and they start flying around and passing through Deacon's body until he becomes the blood god.
I'm gonna pretend it's spelled BLU with an umlaut B.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
It for maximum vampire nerd cred.
And then,
And then there's a cool fight.
well, there's tons of cool fights in
Yeah.
it.
Oh, there's also
And car chases.
we have not explained the blood rave.
Oh, I know that. When you said it starts out at the hospital, I was thinking to myself, no, it starts out at a vampire blood rave.
Okay, the plot starts at the hospital. The blood rave is like,
The
hey,
introduction.
yeah, this is the type of movie you're about to watch. That's what the blood rave is for. It's
Yeah.
a bunch of vampires go to a rave, get all sexy and like grind up against each other, and then like blood comes from the sprinklers in the ceiling.
Is this a real thing?
This is a real thing that happens in the movie. This is how vampires party: is they have like blood like rain down on them.
I think there's a vampire nightclub in every single Blade
Yes.
thing.
Yes, vampire nightclubs are an integral part of the Blade franchise. I feel like a lot of Blade runs on, is this cool?
Yes, yes. So they borrow a lot from martial arts, and totally borrowing. Martial arts, exploitation movies, a lot of action-y, like 70s action-y films, where there'll be a car chase and they'll speed up the film in the camera to make it look like the chase is actually going on faster than it is. And a lot of things that ended up in Matrix were
like test run in the Blade movies.
Blade, not quite as good as the Matrix, but we gave it vampires and raves.
It's like baby Matrix.
Matrix for the youngins. I don't think that's how it works.
The 3D in these movies is awful, and they try...
From like the late 90s. So.
I know, but even for that time, it was awful. In fact, the first movie, when they showed it, like they did the first test screening, everyone voted down their horrible 3D
and
stuff.
their reaction was, oh, well, no one likes this. Let's keep it anyway.
No, what they did is they toned down, because when Deacon Frost turns into La Magra, the blood god, it's total 3D. The original one was absolutely all 3D, and when it got voted down, then they changed it so that he was only partially 3D. When Blade sliced him and diced him, like all this 3D gross, ridiculous-looking blood brought his limbs back together, brought him back together, and made him whole again.
Okay, so how does Blade end up killing the beautiful, undoubtedly fantastic blood god?
With his serum. His serum...
What the fuck? Am I allowed to swear? Cause
Yeah.
Our only rule is no dicks.
And no boobies.
Okay. I will make sure that none of that is in here.
Yeah, I don't plan on that either.
No one named Richard allowed. But no. How do you kill the blood god? We give him the fake blood. That seems
It's his serum, like, in a couple of the movies, I think this is pretty inconsistent. In some of the movies, it says the serum is an anticoagulant, or one of the weapons that they use is as an anticoagulant. And then in the TV show, they say that his serum is hemoglobin. I don't know.
Well, no. Okay, so I know that the doctor added the anticoagulant thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it could just be that in the TV show, that is before they met the doctor.
No, it's after. It's after the Blade Trinity.
Oh.
Just inconsistencies.
So why didn't he set the blood god on fire or pull out a UV light? Those all work. Fire always works on vampires. It's
the blood god.
Yeah, and
so use more fire.
Fire. I mean, there is a lot of vampires on fire, but I don't know that any of them die. In fact, in this one, what was the actor you were talking about, Kel? And
the guy who's Harvey Bullock in Gotham. He does get set on fire, and he slowly gets better throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, and he has limbs cut off, and they grow back. But it was the anticoagulant that worked.
This is painful. Okay, so he wins.
Yeah, no, it's still painful, and so like the guy's really mad when he gets his limbs cut off, and is like, "Fuck you," but they can get better.
Yeah, it takes some time, but they get better.
In fact, I'm pretty sure that when Deacon is the blood god, Blade cuts him in half, and he gets better from that.
Yeah, the blood the 3D blood reaches up and grabs his body and pulls it back down to his legs, and grabs his arms that got cut off and pull them to his torso, and then he gets mended back together.
Isn't comics fun?
This is.
And basically, he won that round anyway. But there's 2 more movies.
Oh boy, does Deacon come back? Because Deacon's the only character.
There are different bad guys. So I feel like Blade 2 is a rough draft for the strain.
Blade 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Guillermo del Toro did Blade 2.
Yeah, no, he did, and then, like, so Blade 2 is all about vampires want help stopping super vampires.
Oh, because
the super vampire.
How ridiculous could we make our premise? Let's find out.
So the super vampires look a lot like the vampires in the strain. So
yeah,
I've never seen that either.
Mouths open up sideways, and they have
mouths open up sideways, and they like shoot out their tongues.
That
like there's an autopsy scene where they like cut open one of the super vampires, which is very similar to the autopsy scene in the strain. So I feel like a lot of Blade 2 is Del Toro like dipping his toe into things that he's gonna jump right into in the strain.
Yeah.
Because the plot is that these super vampires can only eat other vampires. Well,
they can eat other vampires and humans.
But they go for vampires first.
Because the vampires, they can turn into more uber vampires.
Yeah.
Do they call them uber vampires or?
No, they called them something else, and I can't remember it.
We're just gonna call them super vampires. It sounds just as ridiculous as they seem to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're like they don't have hair, and they kind of look like weird rat monsters, and
Well, I'm gonna stick with Deacon Frost remains my favorite.
Yeah, because these vampires
are the sexiest.
Yeah, I mean, he slept with Blade's mom. How can he not be sexy?
Oedipus complex.
But yeah, so.
Oh, we forgot something in the first one.
I feel like don't have a lot of personality. What'd you say, Maat?
We forgot something about the first movie. Whistler, Blade's friend / grease monkey
boyfriend.
inventor guy.
I'm gonna go with boyfriend.
Well, like a father figure.
Old man.
They play the father figure thing up. Um, and he gets tortured by the vampires and bit. And in the first one, it looks like he shoots himself, but apparently he didn't succeed because the start of 2 is Blade hunting for Whistler, who's now a vampire.
Like you do.
Blade 1. Everyone becomes a vampire. There. Now we're done.
And Blade does find him,
And
and
kill him.
he finds him in a, well, it seems like he was, but he finds him in a cryogenic brewery-looking place, all sciencey, warehouse-looking place, and he's hooked up in a chamber with a bunch of tubes hooked up to him, and he's unconscious. So Blade, instead of killing him, takes him back to his lair and tries to cure him. Gives him the cure that the doctor made in the first one.
Gives him the cure. Plays Friday I'm in Love, and Love
But
Cats on
they
the loop.
didn't think to give him the cure in the first movie after he got bit.
True. That's so true.
I'm gonna go with they're just injecting music from the 80s into his veins.
Yes, that'll bring anybody back to life. Prince. Prince is
I
the...
was going with the cure.
Oh, I get it.
He made a joke.
Slow. Yeah, and I missed it. Thanks for catching me up.
You're welcome.
But yeah, so
Norman Reedus, the guy from Walking Dead, the actor from Walking Dead, he is the new Grease Monkey and Fincher guy.
and then there
Did he get
is,
bit?
huh?
Did
There
Norman
will
Reedus
be
get
more
bit?
on that character. His character's name is Scud. There will be more on that character in a bit.
So basically, Scud is the new like assistant or whatever, and then there's like kind of a love interest vampire lady, but it's all like,
Boring.
it will never work because he hunts vampires, and like
You find out about that character because when Blade is back at his lair with Whistler and introducing Scud to Whistler, then for no real reason there are vampires dressed in like scuba gear looking ninja outfits, and
well,
they
because it's daylight, I thought was why they had the scuba ninja outfits.
Well, the thing I don't get is why did they attack? Because there was this big fight scene, and
you
then
wouldn't expect them to attack in the daylight.
but when they finally, after fighting a bunch, then they finally go, wait, we just came to give you a message, not to actually fight you.
But we decided, fists punching first.
And
That's how we say hello.
Important.
That's how we say hello to people who have murdered us.
in vampire language. So
Yeah.
one of the vampires is this love interest, which I felt was written really weakly. And then also there is Danny John Jules, the actor that plays Cat in Red Dwarf. He's one of the
I like
vampires.
the doctor lady more than this weirdo vampire.
Wait, is Dr. Lady not in this one?
No, never again in any of them.
Hurt herself and then got the fuck out, which I think makes her the smartest character in this series.
Yeah.
Hi, I don't want to stick around for 2 more ridiculous movies. Goodbye.
She was just
No.
like, okay, vampire god summoning nonsense, I'm out.
I can't
This is-
remember this character's name, Neela or something like that. She does a lot of fighting and stuff, but there's no real character development of her.
She's the vampire princess, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, this is all sounding like it was lifted off fanfiction.net.
Again, all of fan fiction, just ripping off Blade.
Which came first, the chicken or the egg? You never know.
No, I'm pretty sure Blade 2 came out before any Vampire Princess fanfiction.
Yeah, before the internet even.
Before My Immortal came out, because that's gonna be that's its own special adventure with Vampire Princess.
I don't know that one. We may have to talk about that one.
No, let's not. It's a Harry Potter fanfiction.
Oh, okay. The name of this club of vampires that dress up like scuba gear ninjas is the Blood Pack.
Good.
I was gonna say the Foot Clan, but that Blood Pack sounds even dorky.
Yes. And Ron Perlman is one of the vampires in it.
And Ron Perlman's facial hair we have to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay, I need photo evidence of this.
Because the thing is like he has this like just a tiny line of facial hair
that goes from mustache to the jawline, around his ear, and all the way to the back, just on the base of his skull.
So like like his head is shaved except for this tiny line that connects the two ends of his facial hair.
Are you kidding? I'm looking this up. I'm sorry. What the? What? No! I want it noted, by the way, the Google image search does include, like, the third row is Ron Perlman in Pacific Rim.
Awesome.
So I thought you guys should know that.
Awesome.
Yeah, I never want to see that again, so thanks for destroying my hopes and dreams.
If you still have it up, you can share it on the screen.
Yeah.
Hold on. I apologize for the clicking noises. I don't know how to screen share.
There's a little green rectangle with a triangle in it.
Looks like an arrow. It says screen share. I could look for it too.
Nope, that didn't do it. Now you guys get to see yourself twice. I'm sorry.
What? That is trippy.
I will make it work with the power of... Anyway, the important thing to take away here is you don't want to see that ever.
I think actually you do want to see it because it's goddamn amazing. But yes. So I forget how they stop the super vampires.
They have a hug out. They hug it out.
Well, nothing like Silver doesn't do anything to them. Breaking their bones doesn't do anything. They heal quicker than other vampires.
The power of friendship.
Even anticoagulant's not good enough because they heal too quickly for that. But UV light kills them.
So they gotta get super.
Wow. Are you? It's like, oh, nothing can kill them, and they're better. But even though the blood god can't be killed with UV light, the super vampires can. Because that makes sense. Yeah, this is the disgusting, beautiful Ron Perlman that you never want to see in your life again.
Yeah.
Kel is lying when she says you do. Maat is also lying.
It's amazing.
The only reason I think that they had that haircut is because Blade puts a thing on the back of Ron Perlman's head that is going to explode if Ron Perlman keeps on being a jerk to Blade.
Aw, true friendship.
So the whole movie, Ron Perlman ends up with this big old thing stuck on the back of his head
Does it have a smiley?
with a blinking light.
Does that mean?
But
Everything I'm hearing about these movies is making me only want to watch them if I need a bad movie.
yeah, I wouldn't say they're great movies. They were fun at the time. If you like action, there's more action. Like, it's a good thing we're talking about all of these because there's not really a whole lot of meat to them. There's a lot of chasing,
Yeah.
there's a lot of fighting, and so we can pretty quickly go through these and say what actually happens.
I think that actually makes them better movies than Underworld, because like Underworld tries to be an action movie but is too convoluted.
Yeah, I've read the summaries of the Underworld movies. I'm like, oh, it's got vampires and werewolves. That's a, oh God, oh, what? No.
And a vampire werewolf.
It reads again like someone's fan fiction.
Yeah.
Which is not to say fan fiction is bad. It just reads. It reads like baby's first alpha, beta, omega dynamic fan fiction.
So yeah, so
well, just wait until you hear this part because this part does seem pretty fan fiction-y. So the Blood Pack and Blade go in the sewers and fight the Uber Vamps.
Turtles. But...
They blow them up with these little UV bombs that go off and kill tons of them. But the first Uber Vamp gets away and runs to his father, who happens to be the vampire that hired Blade to stop the Uber Vamps. It turns out that the head of the vampires has been making babies in a test tube and trying to make a better vampire that Blade can't kill anymore.
yes. So he fucked up. This is experiments gone wrong.
Yes. And so during this reveal, Blade is captured, and Scud, Norman Reedus, reveals that he is actually a familiar, but his little glyph that a lot of familiars have that Blade knows, oh, you're a familiar because you have this tattoo. His tattoo is on his inner lip. So Blade didn't know, except there's a twist. Blade knew.
Yeah, so it's like dramatic reveal, betrayal, and it's like, oh, we knew that you were traitor the whole time.
Yeah.
I think the only reaction I've had is just me just. It hurts.
And the little thing that's been stuck on the back of Ron Perlman's head, Scud's invention, didn't actually work, except for when Norman Reedus' character Scud is telling Blade that I tricked you, this doesn't work. Then Blade pushes a different button, and he's all, I tricked you, I knew you were familiar all along, and kablooey, blows up Scud.
Wait, but did Scud have a thing on the back of him?
No, he took it off of Ron Perlman's head and had it in his hand telling Blade, it didn't work the whole time.
So he's just bragging about, hey, this explosive thing that's in my hand right now.
It doesn't work. But Blade's all, I faked it. I pushed the wrong button. And that thing you have in your hand actually does work. Push a different button. Kablooey. Which makes no sense.
I made this thing, and it doesn't work. Wrong, it actually does. I didn't make it, but it works.
I tricked you the whole time. You thought you were tricking me, but I tricked you. And this convoluted...
You and making the thing that works.
Yes.
Wait. Does it involve one of those long dialogue sequences or monologue sequences where it's like, this was my whole plan the whole time. And
and then Blade says one line and then explosion. So.
Yes, all for that.
Wow.
And Blade gets really injured. He gets all beat up and almost killed because of that. He gets put in another machine that bleeds him again, and
Why?
because he pissed off the vampires for blowing up Scud.
Why would that piss them off? Oh, he lied to us. Oh, okay.
I don't know. They just hate Blade.
I mean, I do too, but that no, I would put him in a blood machine. Never mind.
So while all this is going on, while the vampires are bleeding Blade, then the first Uber vamp shows up and is all, Dad, you're a jerk. I'm gonna pay you back for creating me. And
Dad, I hate you for making my existence possible.
yes.
I
And
didn't ask to be born.
I brought you into this world, but apparently you're gonna take me out too. So
well,
okay,
he does kill his father, and he bites his sister, the Mila or whatever her name is.
Vampire princess.
Yes. And then, so he kills his dad, almost kills his sister, and Blade fights him. And one of the things that made the Uber Vamps hard to kill is that their heart has this extra casing of bone around it. So you can't stab them in the heart.
So they just push through that.
So Blade stabs him and breaks the bone a little bit, and then the Uber Vamp finishes his own self off. He pushes the blade in further and kills himself. And then there is one of those scenes where Blade has the dying vampire princess in his arms, and they go watch the sunset, and she burns away to nothing. The end.
I'm really hoping that Blade 3 is... We found the fan fiction y'all wrote. Here we go.
Blade Trinity is my least favorite. What about you, Kel?
I liked the dog.
Is it a werewolf dog?
Yes.
No,
a vampire dog.
Fire dog.
Its jaw goes blah, and it has the little tongue thing.
Wow, I already know I'm going to dislike this one even more.
It's a Pomeranian vampire dog. So it is in fact
almost cool.
um
That's like right below Deacon in my list of things I am enjoying about Blade. At the very bottom of the list of things I enjoy is Blade.
I do like Parker Posey as a vampire, even though she's also comic relief.
Look, comic relief is probably something that's...
comic relief is what this needs.
But
does Trinity Blade have...
Ryan Reynolds.
Huh. Yeah, Ryan Reynolds is the worst.
Well, we all know that in general, yeah.
So he plays a lot in this movie.
Is he Deacon?
No, he's like a new sidekick for Blade.
Yeah.
I'm not liking these sidekicks, so we're going to pretend that Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool, and that will prove it.
It's got a new awesome team name, though. The Night Stalkers. Ryan Reynolds is one of the Night Stalkers.
You know, I'm not liking that either, and so this is just... Ask me about my Dracula is more like, let me tell you about terrible things.
We should rename this.
Usually what this show's about.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bad vampire things.
The new name for it is let me tell you about terrible vampire things.
Yes. This one has Dracula in it.
Yeah. Does it also have his son, who is in no way related to Dracula, totally, who's named Alucard?
No.
Well, good.
Just Dracula. So this one, like, the bad guys are trying to wake up Dracula so vampires can be in charge or something.
So that he will kill Blade, and there's also this thing trying to find the perfect vampire, or create the perfect vampire who's immune to silver and garlic and daylight.
and that's apparently Dracula.
Yeah, he is all those things.
Which it does fit with the original Dracula legend.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm gonna like this Dracula. I'm still going with Anne Rice's Vampires Unlimited.
He's played by the guy.
He's played by Kiefer Sutherland.
No. Dominique Purcell. He was in that Prison Break movie or TV show.
I never saw that.
What else he's in.
Blade 3 is the one I remember the least about. I know they tried to wake up Dracula.
They did. They succeeded.
And then Dracula yelled at them for waking him up?
Yes.
Hey,
Dracula was not down with their waking up Dracula plan.
No, he wasn't. And Parker Posey, the lead vampire in this movie, also uses technology as a way to stop Blade. She sends out a bunch of vampires has a bunch of vampires in a warehouse. Blade attacks them, does a whole chase, but one of the vampires is wearing fake teeth and is actually human, and she gets all of this on camera.
So it looks like Blade's a murderer.
Yeah. So they have video of it.
That's true.
And Blade has never been all stealthy about fighting in public. He has been very public about his killing people with the sword.
Guys, this guy kills people. Yes, we've seen it like 50 times.
Yeah.
Shut up. It's Wednesday.
News crews interview witnesses. Blade is the topic of talk shows. So everybody's out to get them.
And Blade not being stealthy about killing vampires makes more sense in the comics in the greater Marvel universe where there's supervillains running around. So, I'm sure that in the comics, him being the least stealthy vampire hunter in the history of vampire hunters is not much to his detriment because, there's dudes running around that can light themselves on fire, and so, people seeing this guy run around with a sword, probably, all in a day's work for the Marvel universe.
Yeah. Wait, Blade's in the Marvel universe?
Yes,
Yeah.
this is actually the first successful Marvel movie, the first Blade movie.
So the Night Stalkers are Whistler's daughter.
It's apparently he had a daughter that we never knew about.
Yeah. Ryan Reynolds, Patton Oswalt, and one of the actors from Orange is the New Black, Natasha Lyonne.
The lady who plays Whistler's daughter is
Jessica Biel.
Sister from Seventh Heaven.
I never watched Seventh Heaven. That's improving
Whistler
my childhood.
trying to be let's not do sweet, nice person image or whatever. Let's do something completely different from that kind of Christian-y show. So she's gonna be in a dumb action movie where she doesn't have a lot of lines.
Yeah.
That'll totally change her image completely.
It maybe did work for her. Anyway, the Night Stalkers help save Blade from the police, who are owned by the vampires. Whistler dies. He blows himself up.
I thought he died in Blade 2.
He died in every movie.
Yeah,
Why does he not die?
I think it's possible he's pretty much dead in this one because he's all human in this one and he blew up. Although he could have gotten away. He got away in the first one. Yeah. Anyway, the Night Stalkers ask for Blade's help because they've got this artificial virus that they're calling Daystar that they want to, they believe will target all vampires and destroy them, but they need to program the virus with Dracula's blood, Dracula's DNA. So
And
they need
Dracula, they wake him up, and Dracula's like, "Get the fuck out!
to.
You kids, get off my lawn!
They
Get out of my
do.
house!"
They
That
do
is
find
basically
him.
what happens when they wake up Dracula. He's like, "You youngins today, fuck,
Yes.
you're dumb."
Get the
Yeah.
fuck out! Goodbye! And then just rolls over and goes back to bed.
And he does. There is a fight. Blade does find him. He fights Dracula.
Why?
Uh,
Dracula just wants to go back to bed.
well, he is permanently because Blade stabs him with the Daystar stuff. It mixes with his blood. Blood sprays out of Dracula's mouth and kills all the vampires in the vicinity. The end.
Including Blade, hopefully.
Well, that was one of the possibilities, but it turns out no. Blade did not die. His hybrid blood allowed him to survive, and he got away just fine. Enough to make a whole TV show without Wesley Snipes.
Here's the thing that I'm not getting here. So the vampires are like, we're gonna make a virus to wipe out all these things, and
No, sorry, that wasn't the virus. Wasn't the vampires? The virus was
humans.
made by the Night Stalkers, the team of vampire hunters that had Whistler's daughter as the leader
Okay,
of.
the Night Stalkers are all like, okay, guys, we're gonna kill all the vampires, but we have to wake up Dracula. They wake up Dracula, and Dracula's like, get the fuck out, I'm going back to bed. And Blade's like, going back to bed, more like, you're gonna be dead. Kills him with the Daystar thing. The blood from Dracula kills all the vampires because it mingles with the virus. And then Blade's like, oh, I mean, he didn't want to do shit, and he just wanted to go back to bed, but we had to kill him.
Well, almost. There's the Night Stalkers who want to kill all vampires. There's the vampires that woke up Dracula because they want Dracula to kill Blade. So the Night Stalkers created the virus that then ended up killing all the vampires.
So I assume Blade, the TV show, is Blade continuing to screw with everyone's life.
Not all the vampires died. It turns out Daystar didn't work well. Very good.
Yeah,
Daystar. Oh, look, we killed all the vampires. Oh, wait, no, we didn't, actually.
Listen, what I'm saying, what these Blade folks needed to learn is they needed to, practice in that Plague game, Plague Inc., where, I don't know if you've ever played that game, but it's basically, you're a contagion and you have to kill everyone in the world.
We have a game like that here at my house called Pandemic, where you are
Pandemic.
Where you are a doctor or a team of CDC researchers, doctors, etc., and you have to get rid of all the viruses. And if there's too much of a breakout, and basically it's much easier to lose. There's more ways to lose than to win. And then there's expansion packs to make it even harder. Because that's what you want in your tabletop game, my roommate will play it alone by herself from time to time, and most of the time she loses.
So this is like, in that game, you have to make a virus that is really contagious, but it can't be too deadly, because then if you kill people too fast, you can't spread to the next person. So clearly, Blade's virus, too deadly, too quick.
Hashtag too.
It didn't get to all the vampires.
Right.
Well, Blade, maybe just kill yourself. Kill yourself. You're no fun, and no one loves you.
Even though these movies and the TV show is the worst, but the movies are ridiculous, I still found them fun. And I actually get kind of bored with action movies. There were times, however, now that I'm 43 and I was rewatching them, that I did fast forward a lot because I was all, oh, come on. Stop the fight already. When?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I tried watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer and I got bored.
Yeah.
Oh, then friendship over. You're done.
Well, it was nice knowing you guys. I did like the musical episodes, but that's because I'm weak. And also because I've only seen like 3 or 4 episodes of season 5. That's my entire knowledge of Buffy.
Oh, so you started from the wrong spot.
More like everyone I ever try to. I can't watch things by myself usually. I have to watch it with other people, or else I just sit there and go, yeah, let's browse through Netflix for the 3 hours I reserve to watch things. Um, and all my friends who have Buffy or were watching Buffy either only had season 5 or were in the middle of season 5, and they weren't willing to go back and watch other seasons. So, but I got really bored with the fight scenes. They seemed really boring, and I'm not big on action movies in general. I think there's a couple exceptions, but Blade is currently seeming like ridiculous, but not in the we watch it for fun.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I mean,
And it can be ridiculous fun.
The first one is the best one.
Yeah, yeah. And for its time period, it also, it was,
Progressive.
yeah, it was actually a little bit because it wasn't a shit ton of white people running around. I usually, and some of the one-liners are totally eye rollers, but I did write down one that I like. He meets when Blade is in the police station. Someone comes in, and he says, "You're human?" And the guy says, "Barely. I'm a lawyer." Dun-dun-dun.
I mean, it is factually true.
Yeah.
I really like, there's an execution scene in the first one. It's Deacon Frost takes one of the old-timey vampires out, and, like, Deacon and all his buddies got on, like, some, like, full body covering thing.
And sunblock, some serious white sunblock.
So but this is before the sunblock scene. So this is like they're all like covered in head to toe, and then they
With motorcycle helmets on.
and then they take the old vampire guy and they rip out his teeth to prove that they've killed him, and then they like leave him outside in like on a beach, it looks like.
Yeah.
And then he burns to death as the sun comes up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Deacon was pretty good bad guy.
He sounded like the only decent bad guy in that he's like, I don't like these guys oppressing us. Let me do something. His methods are a little screwed up, but
It's more that he doesn't like them oppressing him. It's less about
Yes.
justice and more.
wow, I don't
Yeah.
like being oppressed. Ugh.
He doesn't mind oppressing other people. He just
Yeah.
doesn't want to be oppressed himself.
Well, wow.
Blade is asked how many people he's killed. I think in Blade Trinity, he's asked how many people he's killed, and he says, very quickly, he says 1,182, but they were all familiars.
I like that he knows the exact number.
I did too. I forgot about that
I like to
until I
think-
watched it this time.
So does he like keep a little notebook and he's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, that's
Yeah.
okay, 1,181. Oh, another one.
82. Yep.
82. I'm gonna need to buy a new notepad soon.
Yeah.
So what happened in the TV show like premiere?
It's kind of a mess. It's kind of all over the place.
Wow, I'm shocked.
He goes back to Detroit, Um, and there's a vampire house called House of Chthon, um, where they are doing something with vampires. They're capturing vampires and then keeping them in a butcher's factory, and
Okay.
they have blood coming out of them, and they're being kept in stasis. That's like a big mystery.
Why?
Yeah, there's no answer until probably the next episodes. There were 13 episodes in all, and I can't remember. That's how bad this show was. I can't remember what happened, and I wasn't able to watch all the episodes. But in the first one, they tease that, um, and Blade
Blade.
um, is trying to get information on the head of House of Chthon, and he seems to be this rich guy uh, that uh, that every like keeps on doing all these things like opening galleries and everything. He's very much in the media, but he can't get in because everybody knows about Blade. So when the Van Sciver, I think is his name, the rich guy.
MacGyver.
Yes, the rich guy kills this one girl's brother uh, the day that she gets back from Iraq. Uh, she was a soldier. She gets home and she has to identify her brother's body. So she tries to investigate and find out who killed her brother,
Of course.
and Blade hires her to sneak into Van Sciver's House of Chthon. Um,
Like a
but
very bad strip club.
uh, and Blade's hope is that she will put a tracer on him so that Blade can follow him. But it turns out the guy knows who this lady is. Her name is Krista Starr. Um, he knows who she is, and he turns her into a vampire. And then when he breaks in and has a big fight scene, he's too late. She feeds for the first time, so she can't be cured because apparently in this version, once you've fed, you can't be cured, which was not in the previous versions.
Hey guys, that stuff we had in the movies, yeah, we retconned it.
Yes.
Can't imagine why that would be a problem.
Or make any sense. But yeah, she can't be cured, but he gave her the serum and told her that if she just takes the serum 2 times a day, then maybe she'll be able to fight off the hunger.
Maybe.
And
We don't know.
maybe be able to stop her brother's killer. That's the premiere episode, which is an hour and a half long, and that's all that happens in it.
That's the worst played movie ever.
Yeah, that's not a very exciting first episode.
It was, like I said, a mess. It was a train wreck.
I've seen
Just
better
kind of
looking train wreck.
all over the place. The police are bad guys. In the end, the police officer that she fed off of because he lied about her brother being a drug dealer, and she found out that he was a familiar of the vampires, so she killed him, but it turns out that at the very end you find out that he is a vampire sitting in the morgue.
So her brother's not dead.
Her brother is dead. It's the cop that is not dead.
Oh, okay.
Was your brother a familiar?
That is one thing that Blade told her at the very end of the hour and a half episode, is that her brother, even though he was pretending to be a familiar, so that he could spy for Blade.
So Blade is basically a homer.
Yeah, he.
Oh, hey, I'm the reason your brother. After I hired you to do a thing for me so we could avenge your brother. Yeah. Funny thing, I'm actually the one who hired your brother, and thereby the reason he's dead.
Part of what led to him dying.
Good job.
Mm-hmm.
Good job, Blade.
Blade
And Blade is not played by Wesley Snipes. He is played by Kirk Jones, who's a rapper named Sticky Fingers. Sticky Fingers.
Well, when did this air? Wesley Snipes might have been in jail.
He was. I think I read that he was doing some legal stuff with New Line.
Okay.
Or something.
Because I know Wesley Snipes has gone on record to say he is 100% in favor of doing more Blade movies.
Yeah, and I did read.
It's the only reason he can get a paycheck.
But probably some of his biggest paychecks, yeah. I did read that there was talk of a Blade 4, and
No.
but I haven't heard anything since then. I can't find any evidence that anything's happening with it.
I would just like to say that if they announce Blade 4, time to boycott it. Ask everyone to please.
Oh, I watched the shit out of Blade 4.
No, Kel, love yourself.
I haven't read any of the Blade comics, but in my head, I assume that the Blade comics are basically Jefferson Twi-I from the Venture Brothers, who is a Blade parody.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't watched the Venture Brothers, and it's been so long since I've read the Blade comics that I can't really.
In the Venture Brothers, there's a group called the Order of the Triad, which is a Doctor Strange parody.
Mm-hmm.
A Blade parody, and then this guy who goes by the name The Alchemist, who I can't think of what he's supposed to be parodying, but I assume it's something.
Yeah. I had no interest in seeing Venture Brothers until last night someone was telling me that there is Iggy Pop, Klaus Nomi,
yes, no, I was there.
And David Bowie characters.
No, David Bowie is in charge of the supervillain.
Well, I guess I have to go watch Venture Brothers. David Bowie is my favorite.
Klaus Nomi and David Bowie and Iggy Pop are all up there high on my list.
Because there's a part, basically the way it works in Venture Brothers is the reason why the superheroes and supervillains, the reason why supervillains never kill the hero and the reason why the superhero never kills the supervillain is because two guilds have made an agreement that that's just not, they'll all never go that far. So there's a part where the Order of the Triad is auditioning people to be their arch nemesis.
Wow.
And someone asked Jefferson Twi-I what he does if he only hunts African American vampires, because Jefferson Twi-I says he's a Blackula hunter. And they get into an argument on whether or not they should call them Blackulas or African American vampires.
Oh, no.
Because Jefferson Twi-I points out that he hunts Blackulas in England, and they're clearly not African American.
Except... That's so problematic all over the place.
Yeah.
Wow.
There was something that now that you said England, there was something that I wanted to bring up about the comic, is that Blade in the comic is English, but in all the movies he seems to be American.
That's because America is the only place where you can be a hero if you kill.
That's also problematic.
Our country is problematic.
Yeah.
I'll make a receipt tumbler for it after this.
Yep.
That's a good use of my time.
Yeah.
So what I've gotten out of this is my initial idea about Blade is actually better.
Maybe.
In the movies, we don't know about the comics.
Yeah. Yeah.
And hopefully we never will.
I own the comics, and I am interested in pulling them out and looking at them again. Or I at least own some of the comics. I don't know if I own all of the Blade comics. I'm not
You
sure
own
how.
all of the comics.
I own all the comics in the world.
Fact. No, I have lost all interest to read Blade because now I'm like, how bad could I'm like, oh, Blade, well you guys said it was good. And hearing this I'm like, no, this is the opposite of good.
Yeah, like before this week of watching them to prepare for this show, I would have said Blade is an amazing, like a really fun vampire movie, like and vampire hunter movie. I really enjoyed it, and at the same time as enjoying it, I still, as I was writing this stuff down, I was all, "Cheese, this is cheese. This is so cheesy."
That's what makes it great.
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of cheesy stuff that I absolutely love.
That is how straightforward it is, because like I said, like my problem with like action movies that are like underworldy is they're so convoluted that like nothing makes sense. Whereas with Blade, it's like this guy wants to become a blood god, we have to stop him. That's it. Like
I like Mad Max Fury Road, where it's like we're going on a road trip, and then we're undoing the road trip. It's like, okay.
Yeah, that's
straightforward.
True. Those the Mad Max movies are very basic. They probably have even less plot than Blade.
if you want it to be an action-packed thrill ride, that straightforward like plot helps you make sure you got plenty of room for cool fights.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say action movies with a convoluted plot don't terribly feel that. Yes, the best guest star. They don't feel that great because it's hard to focus. So it is good that Blade doesn't have a convoluted plot, but the trade-off seems to be that the plot itself is ridiculous. And like the first one's like, okay, that's ridiculous, but kind of cheesy.
Oh,
The second one is like, what the hell am I watching? And the third one, I'm like, that.
I just remembered a thing.
Yeah.
Blade guest starred in the 90s Spider-Man cartoon.
That's right, yeah.
But they couldn't say blood because of Saturday morning cartoon censors.
Oh.
So they said cooling.
So all the vampires drink plasma.
Oh.
They never like really go into more detail than that.
What's plasma? That's a great question, kids. Let's do something else.
Yeah, so it's rather than all his blood is drained, they always say all his plasma is drained.
I think that's the same cartoon that started Whistler. Whistler was never in any of the comics before, and he was in that cartoon show, and Marvel liked his relationship with Blade so much that they put him in the first movie, second, and third.
First movie made sense. Second and third, it's like, couldn't go badly. We killed him off once and then twice. And
then we killed him off again, and then we killed him off again.
If we just keep killing him and making him come back, maybe we'll start making...
Very emotionally dramatic when the mentor character dies. So we have to keep bringing him back to life so we can kill him again.
Even though the process of bringing a character that was supposed to have a very important death that was, effective to the viewers, the process of bringing them back to life cheapens that. And then
it does.
Angry.
Yeah.
It's also Doctor Who.
We've gone over an hour, and we
have
our Blade talks. So
yeah.
Thank you everyone for watching. Thanks for watching all the Blades. and listening to us explain them.
Yes.
Thank you for listening to us. Don't do yourself a favor and don't watch Blade.
No, I think you should.
I concur. I think it's well worth a watch at least once. And if you don't like it, then you never have to watch it again. But I would say it both sucks and is pretty awesome.
Vampire joke.
Yes.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.